I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's 10 o'clock here and I'm drinking, so.
I figured you were based in like the UK or something. You were like, we're all going to be getting drinks. And I'm like,
Sarah is.
Man, it's lunchtime.
Well, yeah,
like a beer maybe.
It's hard to get time zones synced up, especially for multiple people, because Sarah's in the UK, I'm on the West Coast, Bagel's on the East Coast, and I guess you're in Florida, so.
I'm central. I'm
okay,
Tennessee,
so we're all over.
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
When I get sent it out because it's my fault you are to go at this time. You'd be doing this in the evening if it wasn't for me.
Amen.
Yeah.
I'd be working.
It'll just be the dead of night. Just nightcap and everything else.
I forget.
Special English pajamas.
I was doing it with like Sephoren or someone who's in the Philippines, and like I had to do it at like 3 in the morning.
God. Yeah, doing anything with Seth is like, do you want to be awake when you're not? Like super degen hours.
Yeah. All right, so if you guys are all ready, then I'll go ahead and start this off. So, yeah, let's go ahead. So, hey there, Hunters. Welcome back to another episode of Loading Screen, the podcast where we're going to talk about pretty much all things Monster Hunter and sometimes other games, because Monster Hunter also doesn't have news sometimes. Today, we got a pretty big episode. Not only do we have Fightin Cowboy here with us today, but it's also going to be talking about the recently aired Sunbreak stream that was here on the 10th. And, of course, we have our other fabulous co-hosts here with Jalbagel, recent GDQ accepted Monster Hunter runner, and Cera Cymmetry, the guy who just has a nice accent.
Allegedly.
Well, better than mine. It's the reason why we keep you here.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, by all means, go for it.
Well, I mean, people know who I am. Hi, I'm Cera. I've been on the channel a couple of times. Let's get me out of the way. I'm not the important one. We got 2 less common guests with us today, so. All right, gents.
Jal, you want?
Okay, Jal, that's good introduction. All right, moving on.
Yep, nope, that's great. Hi, I'm I'm Jal. I speedrun Monster Hunter games and play a bunch of other random nonsense sometimes. And like Fem said, I'll be running Monster Hunter Rise at Summer Games Done Quick on January 30th, and that's big news, and that's the only plug that I'm going to make myself. And yeah, that's what I got going on. I play Monster Hunter games. I speedrun literally anything that has Monster Hunter in the title. So,
Monster Hunter 1.
That's coming up.
Did you meet that incentive?
Coming up.
We'll talk about that later.
It's yeah, we'll talk about it, but yeah, it's coming up. I think it's gonna get met.
And then we have a very exciting guest, Cowboy. How you doing?
Good. So yeah, I'm Cowboy. I do primarily like walkthroughs and stuff for Souls-likes, so Elden Ring, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls. But I also do a fair amount of Monster Hunter. I would not nearly as much as y'all, but I am a big fan of the hunt.
Yeah, and I like bringing in other guests, especially people who have an outside perspective, because, I mean, we can talk about Monster Hunter all day, but we're also in an echo chamber at this point. So getting other people's opinions who are aware of the franchise, but maybe not, like, so invested in it that we are, would maybe help shed some light on some of our topics. So I'm glad you accepted the invite, man.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I think my first exposure to your content, Cowboy, was a tweet when Elden Ring first came out. I think it was like the 3rd day that Elden Ring was out, and somebody commented on one of your videos saying that, like, why don't you have a walkthrough already?
for Elden Ring of all games.
I sit here and I'm like, God, I'm so happy because like some of the comments that like you get, and some other like the like other big YouTubers get, some of the comments are just like, God, I'm so happy I do not do YouTube as much as that.
there's definitely. I will say it's unique because you don't have that I guess the entitlement. Like nobody's gonna come to you and be like, why don't you have this new speedrun time? Because it's such like a weird request.
Yeah.
But like the walk, oh yeah, you get people. I had someone today. Just today, like I had an episode where I was like, all right, this is pretty hard content for this point in the game, but it just kind of makes sense to get it done. If you struggle, you could go here instead, which you might want to. This next boss is going to be kind of hard. And just today, it's someone that's like, I don't know why he brought us here. This area is too hard. We should have got somewhere else. I'm like, what? Sure, bro. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I guess.
Same thing.
Well, I think
you get so many people who you think that, like, you say the important part. You say, okay, here's the main focus. However, here's your alternatives. You cover all your bases, and you can just imagine that all they hear is like, here's the main thing, and like it just rounds out, and there it is.
Every time.
Yeah, that's the
That's
problem
so
with
funny.
having the large audience too, because like when you have a small audience, like those comments are far and few in between. But like when you have a million people watching your shit, then it's like, oh, you're gonna get those kind of a lot.
Yeah, it's but what do you do? It's part of it comes with the territory, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So people who don't know, typically I force all my guests to drink when we do the podcast because I'm a drunk and I need excuses to drink at 10 a.m. But so we'll go ahead and start by sharing our drinks with people. I have some LXV wine from Paso Robles. It's called Summer Satine. This is a 100% Arneus, I think is the grape for it. But I'm a fucking wine snob, so I'm drinking wine.
Sounds.
Oh, dude, you haven't seen behind me. My entire closet's a wine cellar. It's just like,
I can see the bottles.
yeah, that's
Crazy. That's like half of it. Like half of it as well.
Yeah, it's like 300 bottles like between all of them. But yeah, that's I do wine. But
Did you ever get that? Did you ever get that bottle of wine that I sent you that was in that meme that was just called Pog or something, like Poggerino?
I tried ordering it and I couldn't. I don't know if they're allowed to ship to Nevada or something, but yeah, I actually tried to order it and it just didn't let me.
Oh my god, it's real. It's actually called Poggerino.
Yeah, Poggerino.
It's called Poggerino.
Yeah.
I sent it to Phemeto, like, you need a case of this.
What was it the other day, Fem? You were talking about buying the Gaijin Hunter face mug. I think that's the wine you should have in your Gaijin Hunter face mug.
Cowboy doesn't know, but yeah.
It's crazy.
I'll put when I edit, I'll put the mug up there. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Poggerino with that mug will be good.
There we go. We've got fancy guests coming over. Break out the fine china. I love doing this after Fem as well because he tells you the wine down to the grape, and then I'm like, I've just got rum and coconut sports. What's that? We got both sides of the snobbery here today.
It's something. As I mentioned, like you could just make shit up. That could be literally just Coke for all I know. Like, doesn't matter. I can't verify shit. So.
That tickled bagel a bit, didn't it?
It's just a rum and coconut water bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
like hydrated, man.
It's like I mentioned earlier.
It's the sports game tactic,
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'm actually about to go and play a full game of rugby after this. It's going to go great.
Good luck.
It's like watching an adult man come out of a 7-Eleven with just a Slurpee. Like, yeah, okay.
Good image.
I'm drinking a IPA that came from a brewery down the street from me. It's called IPGA. It's funny because PGA is the name of the street that it's on. And IPGA. That's it. It's an IPA.
That's the joke. Got it. Like,
explaining it always makes it funny.
I grab a real drink still, but I have this is the special edition Dinosaur Diet Dr. Pepper.
That's a thing.
This is the Therinosaurus. So
like, I've never even.
it's a little bit on the wild side, you could say.
Didn't they just make a new Dr. Pepper flavor? Is that what
I don't
that
know.
is?
No,
Yeah, it is made out of dinosaur,
it's
actually.
really just it's Diet Dr. Pepper, but they're like doing the promotion for the new Jurassic World. So
Oh, gotcha.
all the cans have different dinosaurs and shit on it.
Dude, I can't believe Chris Pratt personally made that Dr. Pepper. That's crazy.
Yeah. He squeezed a whole velociraptor into it.
Just with his bare hands. Oh, that's so good. Well, yeah, that's our drinks. So the first part here, I think Fem was saying he wanted to be part where we interrogate you, Cowboy, because very exciting having you on, and of course, like you said, being an outside of Monster Hunter creator, mainly, it's good to sort of get that perspective on the franchise. So, when did you start? Let's go with that. What's your first game?
So I started all the way back with 3U. I got 3U and I got up. I didn't get far. I don't think I even made it past
origin story so
3-star.
far. Keep going.
All three of us.
I got up to Catch a Watch or whatever.
That was for you.
That was 4. Okay, so no, all right. So I started with 3. Was not vibing with 3. Then I picked up 4U, got up to Catch a Watch and was like, fuck this guy. And then I came back with World, and I was like, oh my god, the control scheme, it doesn't feel, because I didn't have, but it was only 3DS, and unless you like shipped your shit off and got the capture card install and got the special controllers, I have like gorilla hands, so I was trying to play it, and I'm like,
I was just gonna ask you, how big are your hands? Because
they're fucking huge. I can palm a basketball.
Yeah, it's like that's the reason why I couldn't like stand any Nintendo console, 3DS, Switch. I hate their fucking controllers.
Take it back.
They're for little people hands.
Yeah, but so I always liked the idea behind Monster Hunter, and I just could not get into it on the DS. And then obviously World came out, and I was like, holy shit, I can use a full-size fucking controller now. And then World got me to go back to GU, which I ended up liking a lot. I think I might have put more hours in GU than World, and then obviously Rise, and now I'm just like fully ingrained into it. But even now, like looking back at the old games, like unless they, like if we ever got like a 3 or a 4 remaster or something, we need to see an updated control scheme before I think I'd consider it. Yeah.
I feel like they could do kind of like what they did with Rise, because Rise was supposed to be like an old style game like 3U and 4U, like where the maps had loading screens and stuff, but then they kind of pivoted at the last second to make it more like World. I feel like they could do that if they do the remasters for 3U and 4U and just change the maps and all the systems to be more like Rise, like as far as like visually and how the maps work and controls work, and that'd be pretty cool, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a big quality of life change. I mean, even just looking at GU compared to World, not having to okay, let me see, I got my hooks, okay, I got my picks, I got my nets, I got my fishing rod, okay, I got everything, like
clicking,
not needing to have just all that shit on you anymore. That alone, like huge pull in for the franchise, I felt. So
it's really funny though, to like even beyond that, like just going from World to Rise, World, like when you like mine, even it's 3 hits, right? You got to hit it 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Rise, dink once, gone. Like it's insane, like how much tedium with each iteration of the game they remove every single time, and I love that, right? Like tedium.
No, yeah, more time hunting, less time hitting, scrounging up bones. Just give me what I need and let me get onto the monster.
See, pulling rocks out of the wall.
Yeah.
See, and I know why everyone wants that, but I want the exact opposite from Monster Hunter. I want them to slow it down, because as much as I love the newer games, I feel it's too much like you go to town and then you teleport in front of a monster, and then you come back, then you go to town and teleport in front of a monster and go back. And I would like it to be like just a bit slower, where you kind of like how World was, where you had to actually track the monsters and explore the locales and stuff until you like permanently scented them. But I would like it to slow down back to that, because I don't like just drop in front of the monster kind of stuff.
I can see that. So I mean, he's a speedrunner. I'm ADHD, so we're both like, let's go, come on, get the hunt,
let's get it done.
Like, where's it at? No, but
literally sitting here trying to figure out how I can finish Magnum Owl in under an hour now. So
I'm really.
How dare you?
This is just like a
how dare you?
I don't know. Have y'all played Dragon's Dogma?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I played a bit of it.
Yeah,
I keep getting recommended it.
Yeah, it's I mean, you can definitely see like some of Capcom's Monster Hunter influence in that, and we haven't had one in ages. And then it's
12 years.
Yeah, but it's my secret hope that we get some kind of fusion of Monster Hunter and Dragon's Dogma, just like Monster Hunter, but in like just a big, huge fucking open world RPG style. Like, it'd be so good.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
The Elden Ring of Monster Hunters. Just make it massive. You're going around.
And speaking of
they could do so much with that too,
because like I think a lot of people were getting tired of the whole open world like game system, because everyone's like, not every game has to be an open world, because like a lot of games have that. But I think Elden Ring really refreshed that. Like, you don't have to have all these like landmarks and like pointing directions of where to go and these cut and paste bandit camps where most open world games are. And I feel like Elden Ring really solidified that we could have like an open world Monster Hunter game where all the randomly placed bosses are respawning monsters or something.
Yeah, different shit that spawns at night, certain monsters that like, it's it's raining, this thing usually shows up in the woods when it's raining, let me go try and hunt it down.
Hold on, I know you wanted to say, so me and Sarah had a podcast where we talked about what we wanted in a future Monster Hunter game, and we're talking about it like that, and we're like, what if like you had the map of the monsters, but as you're tracking them like we would in World, you can see their territories, and as you kill monsters, other monsters would come and take over their territory and expand it. and then you can play with the ecosystem by what monsters you kill and what come in and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
It's literally better guiding lands. That's literally like defining just better guiding lands.
Yeah,
That's
one
what
of the
that is.
big points that I was a really big fan of, my own idea, but is that if you overhunted something too much, then like if you're in the volcano zone, you overhunt shit too much, like an Acantor shows up or something that lives in desolate lands, or an Alatrion or something like that. So you could end up screwing
It's an
yourself.
unstable environment.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could end up screwing yourself by overhunting something, and then all of a sudden you're grinding out the local population. You overhunted it, and whoops, God's hit. You know, it's stuff like that. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think with as much as the franchise has grown, and it definitely does feel like they're getting more comfortable with, they got the new engine up and running. That's going pretty smooth. And it seems like they're obviously pushing more for PC. So I feel like something like that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's more than just the pipe dream it used to be. I don't know if Capcom will ever actually go that route, but I feel like they could.
I would like them to. I just don't know how much they're going to branch out of their established Monster Hunter formula. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
they're doing
scary.
spin-off
I don't-
games, so maybe.
Yeah. I don't see it for Monster Hunter 6 too much, right? Like I honestly think like whatever Monster Hunter 6 is going to be is just going to be like World 2.0. It's going to be like World fleshed out more, less we're trying out new mechanics, more this is how, like whatever Monster Hunter 6 is going to be, that's what Monster Hunter is going to look like for the next 10 years. That's my guess. But that's like Femi, like you said, like Elden Ring is a really good example of like how open world is done right, and it really just comes down to like this one thing, and it's effort. FromSoft actually put the effort into it to create a game that's this immersive, this expansive, and this unique, right? I don't see. I want Capcom to do that so badly that I do not see it happening on that scale. I just don't think they have the resources at the time, right? Like FromSoft has had years and years and years to develop this like open world scheme.
But you got to think, Dragon's Dogma. A lot of those ideas that we actually saw in Elden, the enemy shift during night cycles, the different open world, certain bosses. A lot of that.
It's possible.
I feel like Dragon's Dogma was kind of the founder in a lot of those ideas. So
sure.
I feel like if they looked at some of the lessons they learned from Elden Ring, take the new RE engine, maybe there's some new Dragon's Dogma Monster Hunter-esque standalone thing. Like I don't think they want to sell it as a standalone Monster Hunter, but
I mean, it would have to be a main series. The only way that gets traction and like popularity has to be a main series.
Well, either that or I think a whole new game.
Just the new Dragon's Dogma. They just revamp Dragon's Dogma.
The new Dragon's Dogma, but it's just Monster Hunter, and you're just sitting there like, well,
realistically, Dragon's Dogma is just like Monster Hunter, but with more RPG and like small critters.
Yeah, it's more fantasy. It's like fantasy monster and like stuff like that. Yeah.
But they could literally just take Dragon's Dogma and revamp the fights to feel more like Monster Hunter fights, and then that's it, man. Then game's done.
Fem's happy.
I mean, it's all same in-house IP. There's no reason they couldn't start. Mysterious invasion.
The whole problem with Capcom, like this is my problem with Capcom. They need to get rid of this incredibly stupid idea of like developing cells, like developer cells, right? They have the Monster Hunter main series, they have the Resident Evil like developers, they have the mobile, Monster Hunter developers, they have like Mega Man, like they have all these like little like cells, factions of developers inside of their company, and there's literally like minimal overlap between all these people. So like we're sitting here saying like, yeah, the people that develop Dragon's Dogma would have something to give to Monster Hunter. That just doesn't happen inside their company though, because they're too caught up in like, well, we have development team 1 making like Rise and development team 2 making World, and they are not communicating at all. Keyboard controls in Rise. And like they figured it out in one place, but they didn't in the other because these teams don't communicate. There's no overlap, there's no crossover, there's no communication. Get rid of that. Just make one Monster Hunter game every 4-year cycle, every 2-year cycle, and a DLC or two every year cycle, and you have a much stronger game. Whatever. I'm going off on a tangent.
Well, it's predictability at this point. I mean, everybody's going to have their opinions about what they think about how Monster Hunter is developing. I personally think there's a bit of a Pokemon gimmick thing going on with the last few installments.
Absolutely.
How we had Dynamax moves and blah, blah, blah. We've now got Underwater and Wirebug and Clutch Claw and all this shit we don't need,
Whoa. Wirebugs are fucking dope.
The wire bugs are cool. I like
50-50. 50-50. Yes, movement
we
is amazing.
We don't like the wyvern riding. That's the only thing people don't like about
No, yeah, well, you can dump that. But
I guess we'll get to that later. But
yeah,
I would love if we had wire bugs just moving forward. That extra, the mobility, the verticality.
Completely agree with the movement.
It'd be sick.
Completely agree with that. The first thing I did on the Rise demo when it dropped from Switch was I called up a friend of mine. I was like, hey, new Monster Hunter, let's throw it down. He's like, yeah, sure. We just go into the Azuchi quest, and we spent the entire quest time just flying around the shrine going, wow, look all this stuff that's here. And it was amazing. But it's when it overflows into the combat and it's like, hey, here's one move that one weapon does. It's just it. But that's a preference thing. Some people love it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I liked it in GU. I think that from
the hunter arts.
Yeah, and I think because I like here with the wire bugs, like it has that hunter arts feel, but you could also use it for evasion. You could use it for movement. So you need to, strategically decide. All right, am I getting the fuck out of the way of this attack, or am I going to try and get out that one last big boom while I still can? So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm big pro wire bug.
Parts of wire bug are good.
My only complaint with the wire bug and Silkmine system is, unlike GU, where you have to do motion value of damage to recharge it, they just recharge over time. So some weapons like hammer or longsword are like, I have to use this attack on cooldown every single time to maintain DPS properly. Whereas in GU, it's like, I have to actually use my weapon and damage and build up my meter and then use it, kind of thing. Which that's the only thing I would change. And there's actually a mod on PC to change it so that
saw that.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a video on that later. But yeah, it changes it so wire bugs recharge on motion value damage like they did in GU. I was like,
yeah,
it's great. And the amount of stuff they could do with the new RE engine and what the modders can do is turning out to be insane. So I'm really hyped for that.
Yeah, I was going to say that modder who made that one made a few others that are very impressive to me personally, because it's the Frontier Skills one where he started adding those in, which is pretty cool. But yeah, again, getting off track here, kind of want to ask, because I don't see it written on the questions we're going to ask Cowboy. What weapons? What you throwing down with when you did World and GU?
Greatsword. He's Unga Bunga main, right?
No, I'm not. Believe it or not, I don't have Greatsword. Greatsword is all about patience in World, and I'm not a patient man.
Too ADHD for that.
Unga Bunga is switch axe. If we're being honest, you just
correct.
Bagel is salivating right now.
Damage. So yeah, switch axe was my main go-to in World. Iceborne, I did a good amount of light bowgun and dual blades. I had dual blades almost entirely GU. I mean, God, Adept Evade was just like delicious. It was just perpetual nonstop damage. And then what do we do for Rise? I started off maining. I did dual blade, switch axe a little bit, and then when it came to PC, I decided to finally learn bow, and now that's kind of my current main. Because once you actually learn bow, you're like, oh, I can kill things half the fucking
because
the time I used to. Stupid. This is insane.
Bow's so ridiculous. Like, because I'm a gunner main, and as much as I love playing all the ranged weapons, they are so overpowered and broken that it's not even fun anymore. I boycotted bow for Rise. I haven't touched it as soon as I found out how broken it was with its messed up damage formulas and that fact that it can cancel attacks and animation cancel to double its DPS. I'm just like, I'm not playing this. It's stupid.
No, it just gets even better on PC because you have like
the better frames make it a lot
crisp
better.
As shit. The better frames just
yeah, it's disgusting.
There's a team. It's my old Frontier guildmate who I met through a mutual friend, who they do rampages for fun, which I know is a bit of an oxymoron to a lot of people, but using bows, yeah, I know, using bows and a combination of bow guns, they can do the Ibushi rampage in under, I think they did a sub 4 minutes. I know it's definitely under 5 minutes, but under 4 minutes, I think they managed to hit with
all the rampage.
Pierce bows. Like the entire rampage from start to the first monster coming into Ibushi dying is about under 5 minutes, which is just crazy and really speaks to how much damage they kill him at the first gate with bows. That's how nutty that weapon is. I like that you mentioned Adept dual blades as well. I used those a lot back in base gen, and I remember they got like a pretty decent nerf coming into GU. Like they got really looked at because it was the only way I could take down that Hyper Silver in gen. That was
the iframes were insane on them. You could just
because you twirl and then you do two like super dashes and you're on the other side of the country. Brilliant. Very nice.
I like the change to Hunting Horn a lot. I did Hunting Horn a lot with Rise on Switch, just because I played it a little bit back in World, but it always I feel like it was always hard for me to keep up, like paying attention to my songs versus rotating through my combos. And then, the change to like just beat its fucking pace and play the notes every now and again. I'm like,
it doesn't matter.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can beat something's face. This is fun.
I think that was a double-edged sword for that weapon, because it did bring a lot of people into playing Hunting Horn, because it's a lot easier to play now. It's more accessible. But I think all the Hunting Horn mains are like, well, now our weapon doesn't feel it's a different weapon. Like, it doesn't feel like Hunting Horn anymore. We don't have to like play recitals and stuff. Like, we just button mash like a dual blades user. So.
Literally, like to play Hunting Horn, you just take the other half of your controller, you take your entire palm, you just press all the buttons at the same time.
That's the keyboard input as well, isn't it? You just press every button.
Yeah. You just take your arm and you lay it across the keyboard and you just press down on everything all at once.
It helps if you own a cat, actually, because you just drop the thing on there and eventually you get a speedrun world record. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Cowboy, have you tried
I will say this though.
The keyboard? Oh, sorry, baby.
Oh no. I was just gonna say that like Hunting Horn, the way that they built it now was necessary. If it was like World Hunting Horn and Rise, no one would play it.
It would be far too slow.
It would be too slow.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back to the old version with the switch skills. I just don't think anyone does really.
No one wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we start getting the Sunbreak stuff. But because some of the switch skills are questionable.
Let's go.
Obviously, like we talked about that you don't like playing on the 3DS because big gorilla hands and all. But what would be your preferred platform? Do you prefer playing on the PC, or do you like it like when World came out on like consoles only and it was just like
No, PC. You have mods. Mods make everything. I mean, how else can I hunt without my 2B cosplay? That's very important to me.
Exactly.
Mods are a very questionable topic for people. Some people hate mods. Like
mods.
Even like the harmless stuff like that. Like,
oh, dude, I'm definitely in the fuck this guy camp, because not only do I support mods, but I completely support, like when I hopped to PC, one of the first things I did, I was like, item mod, I'm getting back all the fucking charms I had on Switch.
Everyone did. So like, I don't know if you know about the Monster Hunter.
I'm a purist.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I know some people that were real upset. They're like, you're fucking cheating yourself from the experience. I'm like, I already have like 500 hours. Like, I already did the experience. This is for fun now.
Yeah, like
I'm also sat there thinking, like, if you want a charm in Rise and you've spent 500 hours on the Switch version, I'm sorry, then you realize the charm odds are like 1 in a billion. I think it's your human right to yourself, as like a service to yourself, to just mod that charm. As long as it's legal, who cares?
I owe myself that charm.
Yeah, self-care is what it is.
I don't know if you know, but we've dived through the charm tables and the odds of getting charms, and to get an actual like top of the line primo S tier charm is about 1 in 400 billion odds, and that is only including the fact that we assume that they're in the table somewhere, because it's not an RNG generated table they pull from a preset list. It could just not even exist. We don't know. So the charm thing is a pretty heated debate, but I think anyone that actually plays Monster Hunter is under the impression like it doesn't matter. Just
it's the same in the Souls community. Like after I beat Elden Ring,
like doesn't matter.
As soon as I beat it, I was like, all right, time to go to Cheat Engine. I'm making new builds. I'm making low level builds. I want a level 50. I want a level 80. Like you've had the experience, so at that point you're just setting yourself up for subsequent experiences.
Exactly, because that's the thing too. Like as content creators, it's like people that like want to make guides and make builds and stuff like that. We don't always have that kind of time to be like, okay, well, I want to make builds and I want to do builds in Rise, so I guess I have to grind every charm that exists in the game. So we just play for the next 16 years and have every charm in the game so I can see what's possible and like what we can make. Like, no, we're not going to do that. I have 20 hours this week to make a video about the variety of palicos in the game. I'm modding in every variety of palico and palamute and skill and ability type into the game. You're telling me
you're not getting those all through the Palico buddy system?
You don't like sitting there watching Iori send out the same fucking cat every time? It's my favorite part of the game. I just sit there and watch cutscenes. It's great.
Because like I started making this video. I stopped because I got pissed off with people, but I started making this video because I wanted to go in depth into the Palico and Palamute, the buddy system in Rise. I was like, this is such a cool like thing. I was having a blast like trying to roll for like different cats. Like I was like, okay, like let me get like my perfect like my perfect gather cat, my plunder cat. Let me get my perfect trapper cat. Let me get my perfect fighter cat, right? And so I was like going through and like getting all this like, wow, there's a lot here. And so I wanted to start testing out like different like abilities and different skills and different like variables and like how the skills affect the different damage and stuff like that. And so I downloaded a cheat table to do it. And I was talking about it on stream one day and someone just goes, wait, you used cheat table? And they just left. I was like, okay. Just like, they're like, oh, well, I'm going to report you. I was like, no, yeah, I'm doing that because I'm not going to sit there for like 60 hours trying to get one Palico that I need to test. You know, does one skill affect the top spinning bombs, right? Like I'm not doing that.
I will say, after what Cowboy said, I had never considered the idea that just using cheat engine to make a PvP character was an option, and I had to level up like one character, and I was like, right, I've got to be really careful about this, like writing out how much dex I needed on a notepad because I only had a certain amount of level tiers. Really fun though. I made a really fun build after it, but then I went, now you've said that, and I'm like, oh god, I'm an idiot.
You weren't doing that at all? No, I did the whole thing legit. I played through Elden Ring. I've done, I think, like 250 hours so far on those two files. Together, it's whoops.
Yeah, you know, that's stream content, right? Because somebody wants to sit there and watch, you know, someone sitting there like editing a cheat engine table. But for YouTube, all day long, baby, cheat table. No one needs to know.
Secrets of the content creators. Everybody does it, people.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone does it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You think anyone's sitting out there? Oh my gosh. When Jin opened my eyes, because he's like, oh yeah, you used to play competitive, you should play competitive again. He's like, dude, just send me a team and send me your login info and I'll mod you in a team. And I was like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Because like making competitive teams nowadays is like so brain dead. And I was like, I still don't have the time for it. And he's like, yeah, I'll just mod you a team in. And I was like, oh.
There's like Twitch accounts that do that for you now as well. There's one that I follow that only has like 12 viewers. So you just go in there, copy paste a Pokemon in, and they're like, hey, in 3 minutes, do you want this meta Pokemon? I'm like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. Give me that shit.
Every game franchise taking shortcuts.
All of them.
It's everyone. Doesn't matter. All right, so let's get back on topic for Monster Hunter and Cowboy questions.
Oh no, an episode with Femini where we stay on topic?
I know, right? That's not it.
I'm not making it any better.
So we talked briefly about Dragon's Dogma and how like that would work with Monster Hunter, but is there any like system or mechanic that you would like to see taken from Monster Hunter or given to Monster Hunter from another title? It could be literally anything. The way the fights work, the armor systems, the weapons, sharpness, like any single aspect of Monster Hunter.
And you want moving Monster Hunter stuff to other games?
Or giving something to the franchise from another game. Just curious. I know it's
that's the thing. There's so many.
I mean, it's such a broad question.
It is. I know.
I'm like, there's like a million different things.
We should just give Souls the same iframes that we have in World. No, actually, just give Souls Rise iframes. You only need 4 of them, right?
Jesus, that's don't level ADP. That is.
Yeah.
It's the Rise iframes.
That could actually be an interesting mechanic from the perspective of how you different iframes based on like equipment load. I don't know how you would work that into Monster Hunter, but have it, you know, like where you have your certain gear sets. I mean, because I think one thing is, you know, you look at end game meta builds for Monster Hunter, and it's, you know what it is, because damage, and have options. I mean, even this would be closer to kind of like the alpha beta sets they did in World, but have something where it's like, you know, you're not going to have. Well, no, I guess, see, that wouldn't even make sense because you already fucking have that. You would just be taking a evasion window instead of more DPS. So yeah, I don't know if there's.
Well, I mean, so I think that can work because Try, not 3U, but Try had the same system with bowgun because they had crashed them together and had medium bowgun. But depending on the weight of the weapon when you built it together, you would either have light bowgun rolls, which are like standard rolls, or you could have heavy bowgun. At least nowadays would be fat rolls because you would have more weight on the weapon. I think if each equipment piece had weight, because like there's no way like Zora Magdaros and Nergigante armor weighs the same as like some skimpy coral like
Nargacuga armor.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's not like,
or that modded 2B outfit.
Yeah,
you know what would be cool?
Could have armor weight.
We got this with the elemental beetles in Rise, but actually having elemental damage. Like, let's say you're using electric weapons and you manage to head snipe. I don't know. Pick a motion value. You have to get X amount of hits on the head. You briefly apply like an electric effect that stuns them. Or if you have fire, you can apply the fire effect, but have it be similar to how, I mean, no, I don't want to say the clutch claw, the weakening system. You know, there's not like a spot you have to hit, but like whereas you know, and that would be more of on the back end thing, but like with the hit,
it'd be like a threshold to reach.
Yeah, and when you reach that threshold on the leg, boom, that like lights up on fire and the monster takes damage, or it takes an explosion of dragon burst or something.
If a Monster Hunter game existed where you could apply elemental effects during a certain mode and maybe it was an MMO, wouldn't that be crazy?
You know, it'd also be crazy if the game was so easily moddable because the RE engine's good. That is a mod for Rise, by the way, is you can't apply.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't apply those beetle effects. Yeah, by the same guy. DSC 137, I think is the modder's name, is doing a lot
Shout
of
out to
crazy
DSC.
work. Yeah, a lot of crazy work with Rise. Applying elemental blights with weapons is a thing that you can do in Rise because fucking mods are amazing.
Yeah.
When that tutorial popped up, I legit thought that that's what it meant. I didn't realize it was literally linked to just like environmental traps and the beetles, and that pissed me off because I legit thought, I was like, oh hell yeah, like thunder weapons. I'm just gonna start taking those everywhere and like applying thunderblight to the monsters. Like, no, that's not how that works. It's like, what? But the tutorial said.
Cool. So that's me concerned because I mean, water, and you're fighting something hard. You bring water blades out, boom, free hitbox.
I feel like there should be a skill, like you kind of. We used to have like hidden element.
I could see that, yeah.
And it's just
something
like
elemental exposure or some shit. It causes you to apply the blade. That'd be fucking.
I mean, you can even go so far
just
to
do that with free element, right?
Hang on, let me get on the phone with Capcom real fast.
Yeah. Call up John Capcom.
Just send call up John Cap. Just send this to Ryoza. Just send this podcast to Ryoza and be like, dude, we thought of everything for you. Here you go.
That's the crazy thing. Like we talk about it all the time in Monster Hunter. Is there's so many good ideas that they can do, and the IP is so broad that they have an infinite amount of things that they could do to like help make the franchise grow. I don't know if it's a lack of resources, but they just don't seem to do stuff like really easily added things like that, like just one skill that does that, which a modder has already done in like fucking half an hour. I don't know. Like,
you know, it's actually really surprising for a game like Monster Hunter, because how you said we have, you know, iterations, we have cycles, almost Pokemon-esque in nature. But I feel like they don't like they what you got to do, and this I mean, even you could apply this to FromSoft too. You need to focus group with central members of your game's community, people that are deeply ingrained in it, that have ideas, and focus group those ideas. Because a lot of times you get I mean, they are doing focus groups, but they're picking up, you know, Joe 1 and Jane 2 off the street. What do you think about elemental blights? And they're like, sure.
Do I get paid after this?
Exactly. Like that. Focus groups with your audience to get ideas.
I think that's a very, very good idea. Just sorry, Joel, 1 second.
No, you're good.
The difficult thing is that if you pick out prominent members of the community, a lot of times you're going to be picking out content creators. And I can't really speak for everybody here. I'm the smallest fry out of, I think, this group here in terms of content pool. But there's also a case of, you know, if they were to take somebody like Fem and compare him with somebody like another member of the community, maybe Super Rad or something, similar subscriber count and what have you. Obviously, you both get different things out of Monster Hunter. Again, not to speak for either of you, but Fem's a speedrunner. He cares more about optimal stuff like endgame loops, you know, fun, satisfying weapons to play. Whereas another content creator might care more about the ecology, or they might enjoy the exploring of the world and things like that. It's very difficult. It would be very difficult to kind of get that priority straight, the two.
Yeah.
Well, using a large sample size.
Well, I'm not saying, you know, Capcom needs to come to us and we're telling them what to put in the game. I'm saying
no, they need to come to me and I'll tell them.
Use the game's community to source new ideas, and then you know, I mean, hell, do a focus group that's, you know, thank you for playing the Monster Hunter Rise demo. Please let us know what you thought of blah 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 mechanics that we added. Something like that.
I think they did do that, at least for Rise demo.
Yep, they did.
And obviously they do listen, because everyone hated the Wyvern writing system. It wasn't until Sunbreak that they decided to finally, we'll whatever. I'll just talk about it.
I'll say what on a casual note. See, I know y'all optimization speedrun. On a casual note, every single hunt, I grab the non-target monster. I'd ride his ass over. I would beat my monster. I'd get my 3 shinies. I'd mount him. I'd beat the other monster, and then boom. And then right at the start of the hunt, like I'm just picking up my little pieces of treasure on the ground. And okay, now the hunt can commence. Is that optimal? Hell no. But it got me lots of nice loot at the start, which was very
Also,
nice.
there's nothing quite like seeing the buddy that you're hunting with, if you're playing multiplayer, just screaming in on a bear, being like, all right, bitch, let's go. Just throws a bear at the target monster. It's like, right, deal with that. Let's get on.
I did that. We were I brought a friend into Rise on PC, and he's like, "Where are you?" And I ran off on to go grab fucking Rajang from the temple.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm coming. Don't worry."
Just come in with this monkey on a leash, like, yeah, this is my dog. Go.
Not to beat a dead horse with it or like to mansplain it, right? But I will say this: the wyvern riding mechanic is a lot of fun. It's not necessarily a problem with like optimization. It's a problem with it's a requirement, right? Yeah. You're forced to use like silkbind attacks, like especially on weapons like longsword, hunting horn, switch axe, and then it forces you into a wyvern riding state, which if you just interact with the monster again, forces you to ride it. It was the lack of option rather than the actual mechanic itself, because the mechanic is sick. It's the option and like every hunt becoming this cycle of deal damage, get a wyvern ride, deal damage that got boring. Right. At least for me.
Well, especially because do y'all do multiplayer hunts a lot?
I do a amount. With friends mostly.
I would do a lot of
play with others in Monster Hunter. Just start a new file like every day.
That was a big thing on stream, because a monster would become mountable, and then you get someone that doesn't know better, and they grab it, and they're trying to ride it around and get the 3 full wall bounces, and meanwhile everyone else in the hunt is like, please fucking just get off of it. Get off of it.
Or they take it and run it across the map, and now everyone has to catch up.
Put a Rathalos and piss him off. Come back.
I take it to the middle of the map where there's no camp. I just bring it there, and it's like, y'all figure it out. It's mine, dog.
We've all done that once, right? We've all done that once. We just mount the monster and just leave.
Just leave.
No.
Goodbye.
Yeah. I get like a Mizu, and I'm like, I'm gonna bring you where there's no fucking water. You're done.
You're done, kid.
You're just squeezing out like a towel.
You know what? It still will do its water bullshit, and that would be, thinking back to what you were asking about mechanics, that would have been a cool addition to the sick. Like if you take the Mizu and you mount it, I don't know, drag its ass all the way up into the volcanic area, it suddenly dries out and gets tired. Yeah, that would be fucking cool.
God, that's sick. That's like disgustingly mean.
Like there should be a thing if you can force monsters out of their zones and their elements. Like, yeah, they should be like, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, you have a lot of
the ocean.
You have the diversity. I mean, the volcanic region you have like the icy caverns, you have the volcanoes, you have the water. You have all that stuff. So I feel like there's quite a few biomes that would work.
Think of like a map like the size of like Elden Ring, but like with all these like diverse like biomes, and it's like, all right, I'm in the fucking swamp. Let's go grab this royal Ludroth and drag his ass in the desert. And it's like dragging something from like Caelid all the way to the capital.
You guys, look what I found, and it's just like, super Corona just in the capital city. Like,
reminds me of like old World of Warcraft days. You're just dragging world bosses into town.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's actually the one thing I was thinking.
Server or whatever, because it kept murdering everybody.
Well, there was a couple things that happened, but I think you're thinking of Hakar's Blood Blight. That there's the contagion that spread out like a virus.
Yeah, and it kept making him stronger and stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, because people put it on a pet, and then when they resummoned the pet, it had it, and it just spread to everyone in town. And this thing was just bouncing between people, and it was a big thing. There's there's a documentary on it, because there's a big it was a case study of how diseases spread,
how virology works.
Yeah, because it was really good, like as a controlled simulation. It actually played out pretty naturally. So
I think we've all seen that, and that all popped around about March of 2020. We started seeing that stuff a lot more.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say like someone like used that like WoW virus, like this just like computer program to model out how COVID would move. Like they just did that.
Yeah.
And you
We
had
have
the
a perfect
exact same
representation
people.
right here.
Some people treated it seriously. Some people just wanted to go infect people. So every time you saw those like TikTok videos of people coughing on people, it's like that was them.
Same shit.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't get that shit, man. Even pre-COVID, like someone coughs on me, you're getting fucking slapped. Like,
Dude, if you ever had the misfortune of taking a bus and there's just a kid on there, kids don't care. Kids are just like, all right, I'm gonna puke on everything. They cough without covering their mouths.
Well, it got worse. You start getting the prank videos where like people are walking up and like, ooh, like on some like no, that's even pre-COVID. Like you don't fucking do that shit. You don't blow your nose in somebody's face.
God, I hate being in an elevator because one time I was in an elevator going to work and some person just sneezed, like not at me, but like didn't cover his mouth, anything, and just like a cloud dispersed in front of him. And we're in this little elevator. I'm like, oh, now I'm fucking dead. But now every time I get into the elevator, I'm like, is someone gonna sneeze? It's permanently paranoid.
I will say there is one thing I have seen recently. I think it was a TikTok or a YouTube video or something. It's this guy on a subway and he was stood up and he starts going like retching, and obviously everybody in the train in front of him scatters and gets out of the way, and he just goes and then takes the seat and sits down, and I'm like, all right, okay, that's kind of funny. I don't want to be the other people on the other side of that, but yeah, it's a dick move, but
it's funny.
Kind of funny.
That's a harmless prank. It's
You would hope that afterwards he got up and he just went like, okay, it was so,
that was for TikTok. Here's your seat back.
Yeah.
I don't think that would make it better.
No.
If anybody ever said to me, "Oh yeah, that was for TikTok, by the way," I'm like,
God. Probably just punch them right there.
Just grab their phone. Just yeet. That shit out of the train tracks. There you go. There's your
that was for
viral
TikTok
footage.
too.
All right, so I got one more question for Cowboy before we jump on to Sunbreak nonsense, because we keep getting derailed. I mean, I expect
Sunbreak
nonsense. It's fine. It is nonsense. But so Cowboy, as you know, Monster Hunter has gone through a lot of changes in the past couple of years. Like we've jumped from PSP to 3DS to consoles back to Switch, and then on PC, and it's just kind of all over the place. Because it's been so scattered with all its recent titles and stuff, how do you think that's like really affected the player base and player retention? Do you think it's built or like crushed player loyalty because it's just been jumping from console to console?
I wouldn't say crushed player loyalty. I do think that this kind of goes back to what Jal said with them. They have their mobile team and they have their mainline team. And I think the thing is a lot of the new people that are coming in especially don't understand that. And I think Capcom needs to do a better job of explaining that. Because look when Rise came out. Oh, what the fuck? It's not on PlayStation. I hate this now. This is bullshit.
The graphics look like shit.
Yeah, like if they had just explained upright, like while another Monster Hunter game is in development for now, we have a side game that we will be releasing. I'm sure if you dig somewhere, there's probably a quote where they actually did say that, but
I don't think there is. I think they keep that hush hush.
No, they actually did offhandedly say that in the early development of World and Rise, because like when they announced World, they actually said, we are developing another Monster Hunter game concurrently with this one. Rise and World's development started at the exact same time.
Yeah.
They were building both of those games at the exact same time. And then they realized that the open system of World was going to be a lot more popular, and so they scrapped what they had for Rise and started rebuilding it entirely.
Yeah, that's what Fem mentioned at the start, how Rise was supposed to be the segmented zones and then became this open sort of area. You still got the designated combat versus transition zones, I think is what they call them. But so you can kind of see the ghost of one system in this open world kind of as well.
Yeah, I think they need to. I think that they need to decide what they want to do. Because obviously, if we're looking just by the numbers, doing the PC, Xbox, PlayStation, that's going to get you the most dominant part of the market. But at the same time, Monster Hunter has been a handheld title for so long, they can't just be like, well, Nintendo, it's been fun. Fucking out of here, though. So there needs to be a happy medium. And I think part of the trick here is them finding a way where they can create something that's going to be multi-platform and then have, a downscaled version that could play on the Switch somehow. I don't know. Create your model so that you can just cut all your textures by like 25% of what they used to be. And there you go. This is the Switch port. Because nobody's going to the Switch thinking about graphics anymore, or just or not make it. But that's I feel like they have such a long-standing relationship, especially when you consider the Japanese side of things. Because if we're looking at a Western audience, fuck yeah, PC, PlayStation, Xbox. That's it. That's all you need.
PC is barren in Japan. It's like it's either consoles or Switch. And
Switch is huge over in Japan.
I think it's going to be so hard to kind of judge that though, because I agree with you, right? Like the mobile platform is like huge in Japan, and that's really what Monster Hunter like cares about. Like, I guarantee making World and making how they did was so hard for them because it was like a game that the majority of the Japanese audience would not get to enjoy. But Steam Deck runs World perfectly, so like there's no more excuse now.
It's just the better.
That's just it.
Well,
it's literally just I was playing side by side Rise on the Switch and Rise on the Steam Deck. They have the same battery life. The Steam Deck just runs it twice as good. I'm running it at medium 60 FPS. The game looks like Play-Doh models at 28 FPS sometimes on the Switch. I love the Switch.
I'm gonna say, Jal, wouldn't that be a bit more of a commentary on the Switch rather than the Steam Deck, considering how new?
Absolutely,
there is no excuse for the Switch to be the way it is.
Well, if we to be fair, the Switch is at this point. The Switch is 5 years old.
Oh, yeah. 5?
Oh, 7.
No, it's
no. 2016.
I'm looking this up.
Yeah, I'm looking at
2016. September 2016. I'm gonna say the 14th. I'm gonna let you guys.
3rd of March 2017.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Okay.
So
I remember I got mine when I got out of college. Yeah.
No, we are 5 years. So that's definitely dated. That's another problem. Nintendo needs to get with the fucking program here. Everyone else is releasing their new things, and Nintendo's like, we're gonna wait 3 years and drop ours out. Like,
I mean, then they make the OLED and don't do anything about the processor,
no
or
hardware, no nothing. I didn't buy it.
It has a LAN port. That's revolutionary technology.
Yeah.
Wired internet, right?
When Nintendo starts fixing their online services, I'll think that they're going to make a serious console, because they're still so backwards. And maybe it's because when they make their new stuff, the parts are dated and cheap anyway. I don't know. And they're just like, yeah, we don't have to.
You know what? I don't get why they. And this, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I don't get why they didn't just make a beefier fucking dock. Make that's what they should have done for the Switch. Make a dock, make it an extra, I don't know, $100, $200. And when I dock my Switch, that's going to upscale my shit to 4K 60. That's it. It doesn't need to be fucking native. Just upscale it, and then some fucking NVIDIA DLSS smooth that shit out. Boom, there you go. You know, the new Switch, and then all of a sudden I can play Rise and it looks like it does on PC. Nintendo's not going to fucking do that.
I know they're not, but like you can do that with like laptops. You can have external video cards and stuff. Like, yeah, if they just had like an external like expansion pack for the Switch, that's like there now. We can run stuff better. It would be cool. It would be cool,
because then you got your handheld, which is fine. And if I actually want to play this on my big TV, all of a sudden it doesn't look like fuzzy potatoes on your screen. It looks good.
Yeah,
that would be a good idea.
The last thing, to not beat this like a dead horse, right? But the last thing I will say about the Switch is that the Switch is never made for third-party games. It's literally made for Nintendo games. Like, that's it. Every Nintendo game runs flawlessly. Mario Odyssey, the Legend of Zelda, the new Kirby game, every Switch sports and sports spin-off game, all of those things run at 60 FPS docked and undocked. Every single Smash runs 60 FPS undocked. Hello? But the scale of the game is like obviously different, right? It's not like it's Monster Hunter, but like if you look at Breath of the Wild and how they, thematically dealt with RAM issues, right? Like the Blood Moon to clear out game data so you didn't overload the Switch and you started getting a slow game. But they're built like Nintendo builds consoles for their games, not for other games. They don't tell Capcom or anyone. They don't tell Square Enix how you can get Kingdom Hearts 1 to run on the Switch. They say instead you can just stream it over the service, and you can stream Kingdom Hearts 1 for free
over Nintendo's online services. Yes.
Oh yeah.
I will say Nintendo's online services are the same kind of servers as Xbox and PlayStation now, so you can't complain about that.
God,
sir.
Pushing everything. I will say we got very fortunate with Rise and so on, because it seems like Capcom's doing a bit more of a PC push. Of course, we did have the staggered release of World and Iceborne, and that only really synced up around the Raging Bracky patch. I think it was the variants patch was when it synced up. And now we had Rise release.
Iceborne came out.
Yeah, we had the Rise release, and then 6 months or so later, we had the Rise PC release, which was obviously a superior way to play it. Was it a year, really?
It was a year. It was a whole ass year. It was one whole year. It was literally a year. But and that one's confirmed. Nintendo bought PC exclusivity for Rise. They were going to release it at the same time if Nintendo didn't do that. Nintendo bought exclusivity for a year. They literally just handed them. I think it was like $180,000. Oh no, it was $2 million.
It's $2 million.
Yeah,
that's
I didn't know
that
that
was
was
like chump
confirmed.
chains though.
Yeah, it does.
That was like a conspiracy theory I've had for a while.
No,
I always thought the Rise was held back because of
Aster being
Nintendo.
Aster combed through that 60 gigs of Capcom leak data, and yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah. That's about the only data from that leak that I will actually like acknowledge, because like that whole leak process and all that was kind of like BS, whatever, like, you know, whatever your opinion is on that, that's where I stand on it. But that was like the one
take
piece.
Personal info and certain shit.
Oh yeah.
That's a line. That's a line.
Like 16 million different people's like personal information from customers to employees, and they like started doxing employees and stuff. Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah, but of course that leak did happen, and you know we've seen some of it, or the majority of it, in some other people's cases, and there is information that is relevant to us that isn't harmful, like doxing and so on. But I think we're very fortunate is that I don't think it's been. I think it's just a case of online stupidity, because I see so many people ask like, "Oh, when's PC Sunbreak out?" And I'm like, don't they say in every promo that it's a simultaneous release? And I think that's one of the biggest steps of Sunbreak, is that there's this simultaneous release now, because I feel like they were sort of. It was their first PC game with World and Iceborne, of course, and they were still sort of playing catch up because they weren't quite familiar, or maybe at least the Monster team weren't. And this goes back to what you were saying, Bagel, in terms of Resident Evil has been on PC for however long.
God. Yeah.
And whilst there's still problems with it, you know, there's a lot of frame rate issues with the RE2 remake and things like that, to the point where they make different speedrun categories. I talk about that a fair amount. It's like because of the knife speed and so on. But,
dude, just because it exists on PC and on Switch, I have to make different speedrun categories. We have a whole ass different leaderboard because we have World Console, World PC, Iceborne Console, Iceborne PC. Tell me that's not confusing.
You guys didn't split up PS4, PS5 because they're entirely different games.
Oh yeah.
You have to split those up too.
That's the PS5,
we
aka the Gunlance
that.
buff.
Because
like this is the thing, is that back when we did that split is because people were running it. No one runs it on console now, and that's because we have cutscene skip on PC, hour 3 minutes, baby, it's free, and load remover.
Hour and 3 minutes of cutscene.
From the beginning, from the moment you press create character to the moment you kill Xeno'jiva. It is an hour and 3 minutes of cutscenes. If you want to include unskippable. If you want to include everything from the base game experience, it's an hour and I want to say 25, because that includes the intro cutscene, like right before you make your character. That includes the outro and the credits, and that includes the base world post game unskippable cutscenes as well. Hour and 25 minutes.
Jeez. Christ, that's
cool.
Oh, Bagel just killed himself. Okay, no, we're good.
Oh, hi, I'm back.
You went a bit robo there.
Yeah, that's funny.
But
it's
let's go back to what Cowboy said about like PC being like the optimal platform. I think, you know, as all this kind of stuff catches up, a lot of people are switching over to PC a lot more, and it's kind of the preferred way of doing things. Like, how much of a difference was it? Even just 60 FPS. Like, I feel like on a basic level, everybody who plays video games who's gone from a console to PC has noticed that. I don't trust anybody who says they don't see frame rate. That shit makes so much difference to your.
Even more than that, I hate when people say they can't see like between 120 and 60 and 144. That's a butter difference. It is ridiculous playing games at like 120 plus hertz compared to 60. 60 is nice, and I could deal with 60, but you're playing on 120? Oh my god. It's magic. Yeah.
And that's maybe why companies should sort of start aiming for that as a standard. And again, going back to the whole Nintendo thing, it really doesn't feel like 60 FPS is what they're aiming for.
Yeah,
you know,
Nintendo is definitely the laziest of the bunch.
Nintendo's got such a rabid fan base too, which is weird. Like they justifyingly deserved it in the leading up to the Wii and stuff. and then it's just kind of fallen off, I think, since then. And it's kind of like, they're making a lot of bad decisions, but people are still avid fans and will justify anything that they do. I'm like,
that's the case for a lot of consumer stuff, though, isn't it? Like, you could, Marvel could probably put out a film that's just, Benedict Cumberbatch shitting into a can for 2 hours, and I guarantee there'd be somebody out there to defend it.
I think they just did.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I actually kind of like the first Doctor Strange. I thought it was okay, but yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like that consumerism, isn't it? They could put out Mario Does His Taxes and people defend that, or
dude, they made
imagine if they did Mario Teaches Typing.
They made Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I still bought both games.
You don't even
dude, I fucking hate, like, Sword and Shield killed my love for Pokemon. I was an avid Pokemon
I actually
fan,
like the game.
and I thought, going to the Switch, I thought this is their opportunity to really bring the game up, and it is literally a worse game than X and Y on the 3DS like 4 years earlier.
You can't defend X and Y. Come on.
What? No. X and Y is actually the best Pokemon game to exist.
X and Y is really good.
Best game. I'll defend it tooth and nail. It's my favorite Pokemon game.
Yeah, let me introduce the fairy type, and here's your Mega Mawile, by the way. The game
Mega Evolutions were great. Okay, we're gonna start.
Mega Evolutions were fantastic.
Mega Mawile was
a new type. We haven't had a new type since Gen 2. It's not Gen 1, it's Gen 2. We had 2 brand new types, so we can do it again.
Gen 2 doesn't count.
Gen 2.
It doesn't count. Terrible games. Awful. I like Sun and Moon. That's what I'll say.
Okay. Yeah. Sun wasn't terrible, but
no, I know. Bagel hates it. He chewed me out on stream a couple of months back for saying I like Sun and Moon. He was like, "You stop playing," and went, "You idiot," and just
literally. You know what? I can't. I'll spend the next 2 hours ranting about Sun and Moon.
All right, let's get back to Monster Hunter. So
Honesty.
Yeah. Well, Bagel, I'll give you a chance to talk because you got some big announcements that we had talked about as we started.
Huge, massive news.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm going to talk about that. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I can talk about it
and talk about why it's a big deal because people don't know.
Yeah. So for the past 3 years, I've been running Monster Hunter games. I started with World. I have recently learned Rise, and I have been grinding those out and trying to rebuild the community for that. But in the time that Monster Hunter has existed, Monster Hunter has never been at a Games Done Quick event. Period. The closest they've ever done anything with it was Kizaron and J-Hobbs did the first steps with Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is super cool. And I actually used some of their insight and their really low level understanding of the game to help flesh out my actual route for that. 6 hours, by the way, brand new character to Altorta.
Stories 2.
Stories 2, 6 hours. I'm going for
just to interject here, sorry, Jal, but for those of you who don't know, Games Done Quick, what is it?
Games Done Quick is the arguably the largest North American platform for speedrunning for a charity event, right? So what Games Done Quick does is they're a charity organizer to raise money for nonprofit organizations like the American Cancer Society, right? I think that's what one of the names.
Cancer Foundation, I think it was.
Yeah, it might be Prevent Cancer Foundation, and then Doctors Without Borders. So they hold 2 very large main events every year. One called Awesome Games Done Quick, and the other called Summer Games Done Quick. Awesome Games Done Quick happened back in January. And Summer Games Done Quick is going to happen in a few months, end of June, beginning of July. In Minnesota, of all places. Yeah, I know, right? Destination.
I looked it up because I was like, "Oh, you're going. I want to go." And then I was like, "Minnesota, pass."
Tragic. But yeah, so that's what Games Done Quick is. That's what GDQ is, and you might see a lot of their other smaller pop-up events like they do Frame Fatales, which is their all female and identifying female speedrunning kind of series. They do a bunch of stuff like Beat the Record events. They do throwbacks. They do, I don't know, they host a lot of different smaller events. But games done quick, awesome games done quick, and summer games done quick are the big ones, right? On North America, it'd be like synonymous, if you ever heard of it, to the European Speedrunning Association (ESA) in Europe. I can't say the UK because I have no idea.
We don't have any idea, dude. We still don't know.
But some of you may remember back in 2018, Team Darkside ran a IL challenge gauntlet, like an individual level challenge gauntlet for World before Iceborne came out on ESA's charity event. But besides that, RTA has never been like real-time attack, full game speedrun for Monster Hunter games have never been on this kind of a platform ever.
And that's kind of your thing as well. That's been like your wheelhouse doing RTA.
To do it.
Nobody else wants it because they're long. They are hard. It is difficult to do.
What was Shara percent? Like 8 hours?
Pre cutscene skip mod, pre PC was 12.
It's not even just that though. It's that nah, he's got his headphones on. He's fine. It's probably dog stuff. But anyway, I forgot what I was gonna say now. You guys ruined it. Oh, so it's not even that. It's just because a lot of speedrun stuff like is very scripted or abusable. And Monster Hunter is one of those games that is very little to no bugs at all. You can't skip levels and stuff. And also, there's so much RNG with how monsters behave that you really can't control all that well. So it has got a wide variety of like what could possibly go wrong. So
yes, and things like Mario 64, where you might be able to backwards long jump upstairs. I think that'll be a run people are familiar with. You don't have that stuff in Monster Hunter, which is why a lot of speedruns do time attack speedruns, is what they would traditionally be called, like Shadow of the Colossus. So you go and pray by the towers and do the individual levels rather than doing the traversing. But yeah, that's what you do, Bagel, and you are representing us at GDQ.
Yeah.
Huge,
first time
massive
ever.
News.
So if you go past your allotted time that you allocated, we're all gonna be really mad.
So this is the crazy thing is that I submitted Rise. So the category that I'm doing is called Monster Hunter Rise Magnum Mallet % with add-ons. Here it comes. About to get camped. No, I used add-ons. I used the Defender gear, the Black Belt gear, and the Guild Cross set. I use all that stuff because it makes the speedrun consistent. Prior to that, I would do a run, and they were still like an hour and a half, right? I would do a run though, and if I missed Acnosome upgrade, I would reset. That's it.
You had to get the drops properly.
I had to. The backup for that, the marathon setting backup for that is to go into another Acnosome quest, Wyvern ride it into the wall 3 times, pick up the shinies, and see if you get feathers. If you don't, you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. So because of that RNG, it's always been really hard, even just with a run like Rise. Like I've submitted Rise to even smaller events, and they've gone like, yeah, you even said it like in your submission, and we went back and watched your VOD, and you reset 3 times because you didn't get the RNG, and you submitted the VOD that did get the RNG. Like I did that, right? Like I did 4 submission videos in a stream, and I kept having to reset at Acnosome because I just missed the RNG. And I even talked about it like in the last video. It's like, yeah, this is my 4th reset to get this. I don't have a backup for, like I don't have a fast backup or like a consistent backup. Like I just had to do it without the upgrade, which takes 30 minutes longer. It's insane how much faster.
That's crazy.
Runs
and that's a part of it as well that you have to make, like basically like a sales pitch. Like, look, here's my speed run. I swear it's good. It's consistent because that's I think what they're looking for, aren't they? In the marathon, I mean, they look for that consistent,
especially for a marathon setting. Yeah, because you need that, right? They're making a schedule. Summer Games Done Quick is 8 days long, Saturday to Saturday, 24 hours.
I thought it was just like 2 days. What?
No, it's a week. Oh, no. It's a whole week.
Marathon.
Whole
24
week.
hours, never stops, whole week. It's a good week. I love watching GDQ, man.
GDQ runs are great to watch. I didn't realize it was that like.
This year, there's so many cool games. So like, not to distract from like Monster Hunter, because like Monster Hunter, cool, yeah. The other games are also getting their first showing here, and like Tunic. You guys heard of Tunic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the Dark Souls Zelda or something.
Yeah,
I keep hearing people talk about that. I haven't actually.
It's like it's like a 3D isometric kind of like Zelda Explorer with pseudo Souls-like mechanics and like as far as like combat and like discovery and stuff like that. And you play as a fox. The game's great. I love it. That's being showcased. Super cool. Very excited about that. Slime Rancher any percent is going to be shown. Yep, I did.
Like
What's really cool is I did runs for like a week on that, and I got an 18-minute. And I was really happy with that. And the estimate is 18 minutes. I was like, oh, that's sick.
Oh shit, you can do that.
You have to submit a few minutes or a few however percentage
Depends.
over your PB, right?
No, you don't have to necessarily. You just have to show that you can do it in that estimate. So like there's a couple of Mario speedrunners that are like super confident with their skill, and so like they'll do a marathon safe run, right? So like they'll do a run that is, you know, like removes the strategies that they would have to reset to, and they call that marathon safe. And let's say like it's like an 8-minute speed run. They submit 9 because they know if they make mistakes, they're going to go over a minute, right?
Mario 64 as well. It's like locked down at this. Those times are within milliseconds at this point.
And it's really just up to like the runner's discretion, like how much time do I want to allot that. It kind of sucks when you go over, but they do plan that, right? Like there's 20 minutes of setup time between the run before me, which is actually really cool. It's another run that I'm excited to see, Brian Otto's Solar Ash, because I've been watching Brio play this game like insanely. If you've never seen it, Solar Ash is like an absolute just like physics and movement playground. Very cool game. It's like Shadow of the Colossus meets Celeste, and it's a 3D like just movement playground. It's sick.
I'm interested.
It's unfortunately only on Epic, but the game looks awesome.
Well, I mean, I had to fucking re-download Epic to get Salt and Sacrifice. I'm pissed about that, but I'll deal with that later.
Hey man, I don't personally, all I'm gonna say is this. People use my code on Epic, I get money. I ain't never got fucking money for people using a code on Steam. So
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Call me a shit. That's money in the bank, ladies and gentlemen.
What is your
money.
code? Is it Fighting Cowboy _?
No, just Fighting Cowboy.
Just Fighting
Oh
Cowboy?
wow, he
Okay.
didn't have to have the underscore. I've still got the underscore on my Twitch. Look at this guy. Big high.
You gotta pick a stupid enough
big
name.
OG names. Yeah.
You gotta pick. You either had to have picked a name in 2014 or pick a stupid enough name. Lo and behold, when I registered my name back in 2016, Jalbagel, nobody took it. Weird.
I don't know. I still think all of our usernames could be improved if it had XXX underscore before and after. I think that needs to be a rebrand.
The
6980 equals D.
69 420. You gotta
Oh, that's implied. That's implied. You start every video with that. Actually, with a bit of an overlap with the whole GDQ stuff. Obviously, Cowboy, you said that your content was very much guide-based, right? Walkthroughs and so on. And embarrassed to say here that I hadn't really watched too much of your stuff. Only recently gotten into Souls myself in the last year and a half or so. And do you ever get those comments I see frequently on social media about the Elden Ring? Because obviously that's a big, it's a huge game. People talk about it.
I'm not. So Elden Ring has a lot of different speedrun categories, but the most popular one
now
is I don't like watching it because there's a big thing called the zip glitch, and basically the way it works.
That's still the most popular speedrun to watch is like the 6-minute zip glitch ones.
Well, that's the ones that Elden Ring beat in fucking 3 minutes faster than you can touch your dick.
Red circle, arrows pointing.
It's the antithesis of what I do, because I make 100% guided content. I'm going to guide you to every fucking stupid shiny in that game, all the bosses, all the trophies. And then instead of here's somebody that like teabags the air for about 30 seconds and shoots straight across the entire map, and they get powerbombed by a boss, and GG, you win. And I'm like, everyone's like, yep, you beat the game. I'm like, but he didn't do anything.
I like how it is now that you don't even have to fight any bosses. You just do the thing and you're done.
Yeah, and it's baffling to me because this
is why we make speedrun categories.
Yeah, I know, and
for this exact reason.
Like remembrance speedruns. Those are actually
sick,
pretty cool to see.
I'll remember
because it's them going. Like I watched somebody the other day. They were fighting a Mog, and they dodged certain attacks and then got them down. And then instead of going for the critical, they did like a head snipe. A double head snipe, because there's a this is the little Monster Hunter thing for you guys. Yeah. There are hit zones for heads on certain bosses in Souls games.
What?
Yeah. So he head sniped him for like a ton of fucking damage with 2 hits, and then knocked him down again, and then went for the critical and then killed him. I mean, cleared him. Guy didn't even get to go into second phase. Shit like that's great to me. But the thing that the most popular that everyone, hey Cowboy, did you hear someone beat Elden Ring in 3 minutes? Well, no, they didn't fucking beat it. They got to the credit screen in 3 minutes. They didn't do anything. They zipped across the map.
It's like those Pokemon Red Blue. It's like I'm gonna menu glitch for a minute and a half.
Yeah, but like those kinds of speedruns, they illustrate how broken the game is, right? They illustrate a manipulation that is definitely not dev intended, and that is like the epitome of speedrunning. Find the thing and abuse it. At least in Monster Hunter, they gave us the thing to abuse it. They gave us defender gear and defender weapons and black belt and guild cross. They gave us speedrunning gear. Thanks, guys. Keep doing that. It makes my life so much easier. Oh my god, just keep doing that.
But I do like the
for stuff like this,
though. But because like them having to use like a metronome to keep on pace with frame rate and stuff. It's pretty fucking weird. I like it.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's the thing, and that's why I sort of wanted to ask Cowboy, because you see a lot of those comments, much like you've said, where it's just they zip around the map, they don't fight anything. There's no gameplay. It's using the code in a way, and I think it's good to have that discussion or that praise of both sides of it in every equal. So we have sort of a similar thing in Monster Hunter Time Attack runs where we have TA wiki rules versus freestyle, and that's something that always gets brought up. It's basically, imagine you're playing World and you can't use your cat, can't use your mantle, and can't use traps and flash bombs and things like that. It's just you, your weapon, the monster. And I'm a person who's very, that's my preferred style of playing. But then you have other runners out there who will do the opposite, and they will use everything in their disposal to get it. And to me, I used to be of that mentality of like, oh, I hate this sucks, whatever. Which I can understand where you're coming from with Elden Ring, because that's what you value more, right? It's an opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing with Elden Ring, because like I have watched some speedruns when I was trying to learn bow, when I was trying to learn greatsword, I was watching some of the stuff people did just to get learning how to
the sets,
the sets, speeding up. I think the thing that gets under my skin with the Elden Ring is it's very much a non-participatory speedrun. They're not, it's the fact that you just effectively you click your fingers, and it's RNG too. There's still there's one video. It's like it's some like little Japanese girl VTuber, and she's just like singing a little anime song and zip glitch, and she literally beats the game sub 1 minute.
Wasn't that disproven to be like cheating manipulation though?
Was it? Okay. Well,
yeah, because
there were two videos that came out recently that were sub 1 minute Elden Ring speedruns, both of which were memes. One of them was just from some random Japanese VTuber. The other one from a Soulsborne speedrunner, that's been a part of the community, and they're trying to figure out whether or not they want to delete their records and stuff like that. But they very much they didn't submit it. They just made the video very much as like a meme. Yeah. But it's a spliced video.
Saw it, and they're like, oh,
it's a spliced video claiming to be a sub 1 minute Elden Run speed, like 39 seconds, I think it's what it was, or 36 seconds.
And that's always a thing with speedruns as well, like splicing and cheating and so on. But yeah, the point I was getting to was that all of that content should be sort of celebrated for what it is. But I'm very much in your camp, Cowboy, where I think guides and information are like the thing that a community does thrive on personally. But I think that there's just so many cool things that can happen with speedruns.
No, there are.
I'm wondering how much of that bleeds over, because I've had so many people come into comments being like, why aren't you using this? I used the temporal mantle and beat your time. I did this, I did that.
So
and
it's funny you mentioned this, because and there was a skip you could do, and it was a very light skip. The idea was you could jump up on a bridge, jump up on this thing, and then you could land on a ledge and grab a Sombering Stone 7. And if you got it, you were able to have
Volcano Manor one.
Yeah, it was like Volcano Manor. Yeah.
Yeah, you could doing that, and then just grabbing a couple other things. You could have a +10 weapon very early in the game.
Yeah, like within an hour of the game.
By the time you hit Renala, you were a +10 weapon.
Yeah.
The speedrun community, the fun kind of speedrun community that's trying to, I know I sound very, very conceited saying the fun kind.
No, I get what you mean though. You prefer or remember.
I just want to see. I want to see gameplay. That's it.
Yeah, I just want to add this really quick. Most of the time that we do these like incredibly broken speedruns and stuff, the runners are doing it only to show what's like possible to do.
Yeah.
There is a really popular runner. I'm trying to find his name on the leaderboard. But Distortion 2 literally dropped the any % unrestricted because he hates it. He only did it to show it could be done. He just doesn't like it. So he's like,
well, I think a big thing is it's the gaming media. The IGNs, the GameStops. You get Elden Ring beat in 6 minutes, and it's like,
and they say a player. They don't give credit as well.
The epitome of gaming journalism is just take the most shallow piece of information and blow it the fuck out of the water.
Yeah. My favorite things are gamers hate this one thing that's been introduced in this popular game, and you go and it's a Reddit thread that's at 0 upvotes and has 2 comments. You're like, wow, gamers hate it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the 7 somber skip, that was a any remembered speedrun trick, or an all remembered speedrun trick that got patched. And I had a feeling it was going to get patched. I future-proofed my shit in the walkthrough. Yeah, you can still do it, but it's extremely difficult. There's like 2 pixels you can land on now. But so I showed people, and I was just like, listen, this is how you get this. I'm not going to use this weapon in case it gets patched. And then they patched it, and I was like, fuck yeah, good on me. Because I would have had people endlessly being like, this walkthrough's bullshit. You got a +10 and I don't. Fuck you. Redo your
that's the same
redo
shit.
The whole thing.
Oh my god, for the same shit for Monster Hunter runs. Every time I post like a Monster Hunter run, like, your charm's better than my charm, so this guy, this thing is invalid. I'm like, well,
someone made who just made that video? Was it you, Sarah? Who just made that video about your charm doesn't make you a better runner, you're just bad?
Whoa, that's a video? Oh no, that wasn't me.
Did Lumini do that? Who did that? Someone just made this video.
Someone's trying to stir some shit up in the Monster.
Dude, you know what it is? Cowboy, you don't know. The Monster Hunter drama community is bigger than the actual Monster Hunter player base. It's ridiculous.
Oh no,
it's not drama.
It's a very interesting thing. I'm gonna name drop here. I'm gonna say Peppo. Give him credit where credit's due. Right. Yeah. Obviously, longsword in Rise, blah 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 blah. We all know it's got a ton more tools than a lot of other weapons. But one thing I do really, really respect Peppo for is the fact that during his recent runs that he's done, he still gets very respectable times. He did, I want to say, Apex Mizu Kushala recently, and he was using off-meta weapons. A lot of the time, he wasn't using the best longsword in the game, which is, I believe, the Chameleos one, or maybe in some instances, Tigrexor and Ugly Cougar. His charm is also a Quick Sheath 2, level 2 slot, which compared with some of the other charms you can get in Rise is like it's a baby charm. It's like just a, you could get a Quick Sheath 1, level 3, level 2, and then a level 1 slot, and you could have the same charm. So I think that's, a really respectable thing. I don't do that. I run Charge Blade a lot of the time in Rise. We have to max our shit out. We have to just
Rapid Morph 2, a level 2, level 1, level 1.
I think you can get
that exists.
Yeah, that's like the highest legal, but that's like an important thing to sort of notice there with how they're sort of, like you said, Cowboy, where you sort of want to future-proof and reduce expectations. You don't want to have to go to your viewers when you're making relatable content to them, much like with your guides, and say, oh yeah, you need this thing that can only be found at the end of a 50 text bot quest line, and you have to fight the pee-poo eater and go into this end game area, and all of a sudden you've got this.
Dangerous bosses, man. That's the secret. If you get invaded by 420 X Slayer, guy fucking sucks.
Oh, just delete your game at that point. Just uninstall.
Yeah. But if you're playing and you get invaded by the pee-poo man, you're fucking done.
That's it.
Anybody that when that's the character name that comes into your world, just fucking put down the controller, because that guy is gonna be better than you.
Yep.
All the time.
We had the same thing in the long dead MMO for Monster Hunter Frontier, where the more disgusting their layered armor looked, so they would have like a diaper and a monkey head and be bare chested. The more disgusting that looked, they would be a god. Like, you would bring that person with you on Raviente and endgame hunts. You'd be like, this guy
every time
dressed as George of the fucking jungle. He is 10 times better than me. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It's across every game too.
It is. Yeah. It's the whole let me solo her thing. It's a guy in his underwear and a jar head.
So good. Yeah, someone made a fan art of that recently. It was amazing.
There's a lot.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's insane how it's blown up. You got people making
models,
3D models, art,
Yeah.
fucking
Just
so
to,
much.
I see like drawings of it in game shops and stuff where it's just a guy with a jar on his head and it's like, whoa, cosplayers.
The only thing that's shitty is like there's already people like there was somebody that was
cosplayers of them.
yeah people pretending to be him but like fucking up the fight and stuff, and at the same time like the guy came forward like, hey, this is me.
Nobody believes him.
Well, no, people believe him, but like he's not the one directly profiting from a lot of it, because there's already fucking like, let me solo her merch all over the fucking place. He's not missing a dime from any of that. It's so
Somebody does
unfortunately,
something
a
fun
quote that you put on the internet is not protective.
no, yeah, because it's very much like the original was the Giant Dad. Giant Dad has been the meme of Souls forever, and to me this feels like the Giant Dad for Elden Ring. This
was
is a
that
whole
thing
new thing.
before Yumfa made the video, or did he make a video in response to that?
Giant Dad was only after.
Because it was the poise thing, right?
Yeah, it's called. I don't know. It's actually a pretty funny video to watch. Just look up Giant Dad only Afro. But yeah, I mean it's the same thing. He there's hundreds of Giant Dad. I mean I had a Giant Dad tank top. I actually love it. It's a Giant Dad tank top and it's Giant Dad holding a coffee mug and it says number
Well, you
one
can't
dad.
say that without showing it, right?
It's upstairs and that's it's a long way. But I mean there's like the guy who came up with that meme and immortalized it, he's not getting the profit from that tank top I bought. So it's
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I will say the funnier thing is the people who kind of riff on that. You would hope they're not profiting on it, but you find these imitators outside the Millennia boss fight where it's like, oh, let me date her and holding roses. I had one guy that said, let her solo me, and he would just run into every attack, and that was it.
I had
Things like that.
Solo me.
I had an invader that invaded me, just named "Let Me Solo You," and I was like, just beat his ass. Like, what are you doing?
The best one
It's
is
like, how could you not?
the best one is let me solo me, and the guy would just do the seppuku animation and die, and
kill
that's
himself,
it. You
yeah,
summon him, he kill himself, and that's it. It's like funny once. It's a nice thing for the community to share, but yeah, it is interesting, like the different perceptions, different creators or different players on what they value in terms of content. But I do think that it's good to appreciate everything, but it's also good to say what you prefer and what you don't. For instance, for Jal prefers making RTA runs. We wouldn't catch you dead doing a time attack.
Now,
Sub
part of his GDQ incentives.
So yeah, I because both myself and one of my moderators and fellow speedrunners, Greenspeed18, we didn't plan on going to this. I submitted both World and Rise to GDQ with the same expectation as last year. They aren't going to accept it. Lo and behold, here we are, now suddenly having to go to Minnesota in less than 2 months.
There's probably some secret Capcom money behind the scenes,
Fuck, I hope so. I hope my only just pray is that Capcom just acknowledges that this is happening. That's it. That's all I want, man. Like just Capcom to be like, just to be like at Jalbagel GDQ. That's pretty sweet. And then that's the tweet. I'd be over the fucking moon. Right.
I mean, are you in like the Capcom the creators Discord thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm in there. And I posted in there, and I tell them about it all I keep them all updated.
We all know nothing goes on in there.
Absolutely nothing fucking happens in there. It's the same 17 people talking to each other. Which, like, hey man, if that's what you're doing, more power to you. We're all literally content creators. Yeah. And all have
people are busy.
Yeah.
And like I'm not gonna sit in there and babysit this Discord to like keep informed. They also, I had it muted except for @everyone's. They don't use @everyone. Why not?
I will say the way you say it.
The Street Fighter people do.
The way you say it as well, Charlie, it sounds like a punishment. Like, yeah, Capcom, put money behind the scenes to send me to Minnesota. They're just like, fuck this guy. Send him to the Midwest.
This guy.
Think you're gonna stream these days? You're going on a fucking trip,
dude. It's the same day that Sunbreak comes out.
That's the fun part. That's what I told you.
The Rise is on June 30th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars.
You're gonna sit there, be doing your fucking shitty base game Rise speedrun, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're playing Sunbreak over here, man. This is fun."
Isn't that a
This is
worry
the
for
thing.
you though? Because if an update
did-
comes out, isn't it gonna like?
I asked for early access explicitly for that reason. I
see.
legitimately went in there and I put in a request, and like I added one of I just put like in a message into the support channel. I said, hey, I put in a weird request. I need you guys to look it over and like get back to me ASAP, because that happened with World. Iceborne came out. We had a pre-Iceborne patch which made all the base game changes, which I loved. Do that with Rise, please, so I can run that instead. But all of the like pre-Iceborne changes and all of the Iceborne changes changed the run entirely. And it really, like, we're still finding things that are like 3 or 4 seconds faster, and like that time adds up. Like in the past year, we have found like maybe 40 or 50 sub 10-second time saves.
Wow.
That have like led up to the time that I have now, which is world record, 2 hours and 33 minutes.
You got recently.
Jiva.
The Xeno.
Yeah, I got that a few weeks ago.
I feel like I don't think I'd ever have like the capacity to, because I mean that's like that whole
Takes
like
time.
Well, I mean, but there's like you have to be perfectly attentive that whole time, right? Like you can't.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Dude, I say this all the time.
You can't
whenever
pause the
I
run
watch
and hit the
streams.
vape or go pee or grab a drink. Like
That's where World is perfect,
Because
because
cutscenes.
I spent a fuck ton of money to get a cutscene skip mod made and an auto splitter for the game made. So cutscene time and load times are removed, and the skipping the cutscenes is optional, not mandatory. So I have like, I know in the back of my mind how long some of these cutscenes are. So I'm like, oh, Legiana cutscene, I can go pee real quick.
Yeah.
See, I
Again,
would never be able to do the whole RTA run because I don't have the attention span
Coward.
or the. My biggest thing is menuing. I hate menuing so goddamn much. That's why I have to be like an individual level runner, because I can't. That's why I don't even do freestyle, like using cats and bombs and traps and stuff. I hate pushing menu buttons. Let me just fucking fight the thing. I can't do it. So like all the power to you, Bagel. It's something I am not capable of doing.
No, but to run back to like what Sarah said, like I would never touch ILs because I'm not like, this isn't like a plug or anything like that. But I am doing, because it's so expensive, right? We're doing a small like donathon. It's the first thing that like I've ever done like this on my channel, and I set up like I think like 13 incentives, and 11 of them are met. And
That's crazy,
I started
dude.
this yesterday.
That's huge. That's huge, though. Yeah.
But one of them is become an IL speedrunner.
Oh, really? So you're doing like a time attack?
Now,
I'm gonna
what
do
does that
Rise
actually require?
ILs.
Do you have
So
to
wait,
get
what
a
is-
world record? Oh, sorry. Go
what
ahead.
does IL mean?
Oh, individual level.
Are you familiar with
That's like
Monster Hunter speedruns at all, Cowboy?
No.
So it's basically broken up into like 2 big categories. Is you either do a single hunt, because you can start to finish. It's got an end quest timer. That's your time. You do 1 hunt at a
Real
time.
easy.
Or you do from the start of the game until the first set of credits.
Yeah. So Fem and I are IL individual level runners. We speed run a monster and we post our time. We go from there. Bagel here is one of the, at least rarer, I would say,
think there's only
examples of
3.
somebody. I thought it was more.
Active right
I
now?
didn't want to. Yeah.
we have about 5 active runners right now.
Woo!
At my
Topping
level,
off.
there's technically 2, myself and Green. Actually, technically 3, myself, Green, and then a Japanese runner by the name of Moss TKM, who has full game speedruns in all the other games like since Try and records in those. So I'm terrified he's going to beat my run. I'm going to be sad. He did that to me in base game.
You want me to teach you bowgun?
No, I keep doing it with switch axe because it's easy. The aim, the bow gun. I don't want to do.
Have you
that.
thought about what monster and what? Also, you could do World or Rise. You thought?
I'm gonna do
about-
Rise. I'm gonna do Switch Axe. I'm gonna do Apex Rathian. It's my favorite matchup in that game.
That's a good matchup. No, that's fine.
Yeah. I think Apex Rathian is like the perfect beginner monster to speedrun too, because she's like super predictable. A lot of her attacks are super telegraphed, and I think she's just a great matchup for every weapon. She's a big punching bag.
punishable too, just because
Yeah, exactly.
onto air dunks as well. It's
So good.
And you combine that with KO as well. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Apex is a very good choice. Also, it's impressive because it's an Apex monster. It's not like regular Rathian. It's Apex. You know, it's got something there to make it slightly more impressive, even if we know we're sat there like.
Rathian's my go-to punching bag monster.
Me and Sarah were just talking about this.
Yeah.
We were just talking like it's the perfect monster for people to practice and learn on. It's a great.
That one's great. Best monster in the game.
So we spoke about this, Fem and I, a while back. Sorry, Cowboy, you go ahead.
No.
I was going to say...
No, go ahead. No, let Cowboy talk. Sarah, we talk about this shit all the time. It's fine.
We can,
I was going to say, when I was testing different builds out, like trying to figure out how useful the new elemental skills are, that was my hyper scientific method. Is I would do 3 Rathian hunts with one setup and the 3 Rathian hunts with another setup, and then I just averaged the times. And I was like, there's a whole Reddit post, and I was like, based on these times and these different sets, we have a 18% faster kill time using this particular thing against a Rathian.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's.
I mean, it's out of all the monsters, Rathian is so fucking replicatable, just because you know everything. Like, God, his moves are just like,
she's got such clear moves to her as well. It's like, she's going to do 2 flips in rage. She's if she charges, it's a bit of a shitter or whatever, but outside of that, she's like the perfect punching bag in a lot of games. There were a couple of others, and that's what Fem and I were talking about, where
cut hit zones on the head,
like 100 in some games, like crazy high hit zones. Really gives you good feedback in terms of damage you're doing. You could easily drop her out the sky if you learn the matchup. I think that, and what Fem and I were talking about is that there are monsters that are like a good punching bag in every single game. Every single one of them, there's always going to be that one that you go back to and you go, all right, I made a new set. Is it good? Let's try it. And here's my target. I think that's such a good thing to have. And
then you have monsters that always suck complete taint to fight.
Almudron.
Go on.
Almudron.
Yep, Almudron.
Almudron? Oh no, I don't even think he's that bad. For me, I don't even remember his name. It's that roly-poly that shits and paralyzes you.
Volvidon's great.
Fuck Volvidon.
No, he's not.
Volvidon with Switch Axe?
God, Volvidon
dude, you just CSDs are everything. It's amazing. I love Volvidon.
Yeah, that's Switch Axe privilege.
I hate Volvidon.
I agree with Volvidon.
Yeah,
every time I try to hit, it fucking rolls up and goes away. I'm like, get the fuck over here and stay.
And then, like, 1 in 10 times. Oh god, 1 in 10 times you'll occasionally get that point where you hit it out of the charge, like out of a roll, and you're like, I'm a god, and then you realize, oh, I'm fighting Volvidon, and it gets worse. Paralyze into poop into stun into paralyze into poop into stun. You're like, you are a low tier monster. You should be dead by now.
Yeah, why are you fucking dead? Because you can't.
I felt the same way about Giganox in Ryu. Like, Giganox was one of those.
Giganox!
Nah, too annoying.
I want
too
to
annoying.
so bad. I love him. Love him so much.
So we've gotten off topic like significantly, but let's go ahead and start
7 times.
talking about Sunbreak since
Sunbreak.
we're getting back on the Monster Hunter topic. So we all saw the Monster Hunter trailer today. Yeah.
And if you didn't, go watch that first because we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, spoilers. So before we get into the actual, I guess, dude. Again, Monster Hunter community is really fucking weird with their spoiler shit. I don't think.
If you're watching a podcast video titled "New News in Sunbreak" and you watch it and you get pissed about spoilers,
that fucking shit happens. Just saying.
Oh no, I'm watching an official trailer from the devs. They spoiled this for me. Bro, it's my brother in Christ. It's their own game.
You watch it.
I swear to God.
I had someone say that in chat, like, hey, don't show me the monster mechanics. Don't tell me about the fights. It's like,
if it's any consolation, I had somebody complaining about spoilers watching the walkthrough series.
It's just like, I'm watching a walkthrough.
How?
Why did you tell me what this is?
Well, because
I sure wish I'd like to know this comprehensive information about a game I'm playing.
There's one NPC that has a trophy boss attached, and I pointed out, I'm like, all right, now, this one NPC is unique. You don't want to kill her because there is a trophy boss attached to her, and it's one of the only missable trophies. So whatever you do, don't kill Fia. And they're like, I can't believe you would spoil that for her. Did you? Anyway, all right.
You didn't even say the name. You didn't even say, like, oh yeah, by the way, if you kill her, you won't be able to get to this.
You won't be able to fight badass fucking Lich Dragon with red lightning and black.
I still haven't fought Lich Dragon.
Oh, he's cool. He's very much the edge.
Yeah. Oh no, he's like, I was watching Distortion's videos today actually, and I saw the fight. I was like, oh, that's what I'm missing. Oh, okay.
He's much better than Placidia X.
Yo, believe Plasty is my baby forever.
Really? I fucking don't like the fight.
Word first. No, okay. That's a meme on our channel because I found back when I found Plasty, there was no information on him at all on the internet. There was nothing on fucking 4chan, nothing on Google, no videos.
You mean Fextralite didn't have all the information available?
Dude, did you know Elden Beast gets healed by holy attacks, right? We had this same thing, and I don't know if this is an opinion that you want to talk about, Cowboy, but this is a very shared thing between Monster Hunter and Souls, or FromSoft games, is that
wiki.
Yeah, the SEO,
so
the SEO, it shows up first. We have a resource for Monster Hunter from Kiriniko,
Yeah,
which literally just you use it. Yeah, so you're familiar. So it's literally a data dump.
I've had issues with Fextra in the past, and they recently stopped doing this, but for a long time I was very vocal about this because they would embed their Twitch stream into their wiki site.
Oh my they still do that.
So bad.
And then they would stream and it would look like they had 300,000 viewers and there'd be 100 fucking people in the chat. And it's essentially, it was legal view botting.
Yeah.
And I felt it was very disingenuous and shady as a creator because they would seek out sponsor deals based on those viewership numbers, which are a fucking lie and it's scummy.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just garbage.
And that's something that we have here, and it's also the lack of information. I mentioned the Elden Beast getting healed thing. It is literally like
the Fextra wiki for Monster Hunter is fucking shit. You would click one monster and it would go to the armor for a different monster. It's
it's all there's just no information at all. Like,
hey, here's the stats for Kiar Master Rank weapon. Oh, it only has green sharpness, but get users to update it. And the problem is that would be so bad. Shitty wikis exist, right? There's so many shitty wikis out there, but it's the SEO putting it at the top. And
the very
something
top.
I've been vocal about is that viewers will always gravitate towards the first option in the search because that's what you do. Nobody goes to the second page of Google. Nobody does that. But they're still not going to have a look at the second or third option if it confirms basic information. So they, Fextra Life might have, here's how to do a character's quest line, which is what you care about. And then you might go, okay, that's a good resource. And then you might take everything from there as gospel. And I think it's important because I've seen a lot of people tweet about how information has kind of moved from public forums or public wikis like NeoSeeker or GameFAQs or whatever to Discord. And now that information doesn't exist. So when I was going through Elden Ring for the first time, I wanted to do as much stuff as I could because I'm not good with open world games. Like,
Cera had the walkthrough up.
He does. He does.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I never saw. I'm gonna be honest.
Spoilers.
I never seen your content, and I absolutely will be checking this out using your promo code for Epic's Game Store. What is it again? Mid drink. I got you.
And he doesn't know because I'm gonna plaster it all over the fucking.
Yeah, he's gonna
just every time it comes up, just.
But that's the thing. Is like, and also open world games are very difficult to get into, me at least, because it's very much on the player to go, you need to want to explore, you need to want to do this. So then modern players now rely on a lot of wikis, and if the information is just trash and garbage and it just it's just not player friendly. It just gives you false information that then gets parroted and is it a small thing to care about? Is it a nerdy thing to care about?
So in Dark Souls 3, one-handed colossal weapons, ultra swords, could be parried. Elden Ring came out, and that was the new rumor all of a sudden, was you can't parry colossals anymore. And we briefly tried testing it on stream, and we didn't test it super in depth. We did 4 or 5 attempts, and I was like, damn, you can't parry one-hand colossals anymore. And then the other night on stream, somebody was like, no, you absolutely can. And I'm like, we've tried this. And they're like, no, you absolutely can. And we tested it, and you can parry every fucking one-handed attack with the exception of jumping on both colossal hammers and colossal swords. The roll attack, the charged R2, even the goofy hammer one where your character does a front flip, you can parry that too.
Oh, the Artorias flip?
Well, the Lion's Claw you can't.
Yeah, Lion's Claw.
But the one-handed,
I love that one.
And he hits the hammer and he flips over and he slams. All that's parryable. But you can already guess where that rumor started at.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the awful thing. I've had some people chew me out before, why does it matter before, why does it matter, Cera? These kind of people who want to find out what's the truth or what's correct will do their own research. I'm like, you can't rely on that.
No,
because
it's a problem of misinformation.
Trust but verify.
And the problem with the misinformation too, especially for all of us, we're all content creators, and a lot of us are trying to put out informative content to teach people how to play a game. And when there's a bigger fish out there with the wrong information, then you have to fight that every step of the way.
Sounds very familiar.
There's been a, I'm not going to say any names, but there's actually been a lot of Monster Hunter guys that are getting into Elden Ring, and quite a few of them are doing videos on shit that's considered exploits, and they don't understand that it's like an exploit, and they're like, look at this crazy new setup, and I'm like, no, that's an exploit. You're abusing mechanics. Aren't supposed to work like that. That's going to get patched. Please don't fucking publicize this to people. This is not wow, cool, look at this. This is fucking broken and it's toxic to the game.
I know exactly who you're talking about. That's fine.
I think we do too. Yeah.
It's very frustrating, but
yeah, I know. And don't worry, we have to deal with it on our side too. I get it.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing. This is a topic that
I'll get my revenge. Look at this broken fucking rise weapon. So good it'll fuck your mom. Try this.
Defender weapon. All you have to do is just make a defender weapon.
And it's just any bow ever. It's just, that's all it is. Just look at this rise weapon that rules, and it's just a bow. Like
an bow.
A single bow. Oh, you pair it next to the high-end Gunlances, it'll kill your dad. Yeah, like you said.
But this is a fun question. Would y'all consider, because we were talking about this on stream a couple months back, because bow's obviously good, and my thought process is that bow is good, but that it's the type of weapon that you need to put into. I feel it's a high skill ceiling weapon.
Gun weapons have always sort of been like that, yeah.
It's about the stamina management and making, because if you bottom out stamina, you're losing time, you're losing damage, you're just running around holding your dick. And some people that were like, no, bows
levels, yeah.
Oh wait, that's not optimal.
So y'all, I would consider y'all the subject matter experts here. Would you consider bow to be a high skill cap weapon?
So I guess I'm the one that answer that because
Sam's the one.
So if you're playing bow casually, I guess you can see that, you can perceive that. The problem is bow's got a couple flaws with it. Is you can make absurd armor sets in Rise, and when you get rid of the stamina portion of it, like once you gem in Con 3, you drink a dash juice and you have like Stam Surge up, which is one of the main things we always recommend with bow sets. You never run out of stamina, literally ever. You can go for an entire hunt, not run out of stamina. So you can just get rid of that problem altogether. Bow is bugged in that it gets more elemental damage than it should because its coatings are overriding its charge elemental modifiers. So bow is doing more damage than it should. Not a whole lot. It's like 20% more elemental damage. But
20%'s a lot of fucking damage.
It's something. So bow does more damage that way. Bow also just has a lot of crazy modifiers that I don't think the devs really intended, because we know that the way Capcom balances is very anecdotal. They just have a couple people come in and be like, does this feel okay? And they go, sure. And bow has so much raw multipliers, with the charge multiplier for charge 4 being a 1.7 times multiplier, the power coatings being another 1.5 times a multiplier. And when you start putting these on, and you start attacking, you put like attack and crit boosts and stuff on these sets, bow just starts doing more obscene amounts of damage. So if you're playing casually, I think bow feels good, but not crazy. But once you start to min-max bow, and then you get into the animation canceling of it, because you can dash. I don't know if you know this, but video of it. Yeah.
Dash boom boom, dash boom boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen your videos. Don't worry. There's a reason I'm the bow master now.
But yeah, so bow can dish out some absurd damage. I think a lot of it is unintentional damage, though. So while bow is much, much better than every other weapon, I don't think it's supposed to be that way, and I hope it does get fixed in Sunbreak. But it is definitely one of those weapons where if you play casually, you probably think it's good, but not crazy. Compared to like Longsword, I think it's a lot easier to play casually. But when you start playing for realsies and min-maxing it, you just start seeing that bow can just dump damage on monsters, and it just gets insane, which is, again, why I boycotted bow for Rise. Like, I used to love
from a skill standpoint, though,
I don't think it takes any effort really to play bow.
Okay.
It's really quick to just tap heads. Well, essentially because I'm playing from mouse and keyboard on PC, it's really easy for me to aim and hit heads. For me, it does not take much effort.
I've considered playing mouse and keyboard just for head sniping better, but it's like I've played controller for so fucking long on Monster Hunter. I'm like,
don't swap. It's just I'm a
unless you're
gamer,
stupidly consistent. Yeah.
Like unless you're really trying to go for like literally cutting down milliseconds off times, just play controller. It's not that big of a deal. It's just I play nothing but PC, and I play a lot of shooter games, so I'm just used to playing mouse and keyboard. But Rise specifically, their mouse and keyboard controls are fucking shit, and I hate playing Gunner on them.
It's a joystick.
Did you ever play Neo 1 when it came out on PC?
I played both Neo 1 and Neo 2 with mouse and keyboard.
When Neo 1 dropped, I don't even think it had like keyboard rebinds or something. I played with the controller.
World was really bad at launch too.
But I remember launch, people were like, what the fuck is this, Team Ninja? And they were like, thank you for your support.
Yeah, exact same thing Capcom's been doing.
The intern behind the social media account was like, Dad, help.
Capcom fixed it in World though. Like they fixed that. They just don't know like that fix. This was what I was talking about earlier. That fix that happened in World just didn't translate to Rise, and now they're sitting here trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces. Exactly. Yeah. They put in two separate buildings on the other side of each on the opposite side of Japan. It's like, don't you dare fucking talk to the other person. You see what happened last time? You scrapped the game and you built open areas. Don't fucking talk to them, because if you redo keyboard, we won't get Sunbreak out until 2024.
I can't believe they brought back Apartheid for Monster Hunter Rise. Isn't that crazy? No, there's one thing with the Gunlance inputs that I always want to reference, because it's my favorite thing. To do the full burst, which is like a big old explosion attack with the Gunlance, whatever, you have to press mouse left, mouse right, and mouse scroll button. So I always used to joke that you would just have to do this. You just have to pick up the mouse in your hand, just crush it, and then quick reload another mouse in. Like you get one of those fancy like razor mouses and just crush it in your hand like a fucking infinity stone.
Sounds so bad.
And then you do like a 3 motion value attack, and then quick reload another $50 mouse, and then that's your move.
I like that we can't rebind controls. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bagel.
I just can't remember, Sarah, if it was your stream or mine, but we're sitting there cutting up about that the entire time. Because you fucking, every time you want to use Wyvern's Fire, you just fucking smash the mouse, plug a new one in.
There's one GIF, I think, on the Twitter GIF thing, or whatever, where it's somebody holding their hand out with the thinking emoji in it, and they crush it and blood comes out, and they just, and that's it. That's the input for Wyvern. That's all you get. It's like Gunlance needs all the help it can get.